Are we live? I think we are live. All right, everyone. Thank you for stopping by on your Friday night. I know you probably had big plans for sitting on the couch crying about lockdown, but this is where the fun happens. Song machine with friends. So my name is Munya, and depending on your Wi-Fi connection, I either look like a high definition Idris Elba or a very low definition Minecraft character, but I'll leave that up to you. Anyway, the new Gorillaz album. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear any insults.
I'm still on.
Go with Idris Elba. All right, anyway, it's a big day today because the new Gorillaz album, Song Machine Season 1 Strange Times, is out now. It's a record that has icons past and present. We're talking Elton John, Skepta, The Slaves, Robert Smith, and of course, everyone here in front of me now. So let me just do some little introductions because I want to get you all bigged up before we get into it. So to kickstart, we've got Hackney-born musician, singer, actor, known for his lead role in the 80s soul band Imagination. He features on Lost Chord. It's Lee John. He's on my
Hey.
there he is. Up next, we have the American hip-hop duo from Atlanta, signed to J. Cole's Dreamville Records. Best hairstyles in the game. They feature on Opium. It's Earth Gang in the building. Okay, right, here we go. Next, we've got East London grime legend, the only guy on Netflix who makes me cry real thug tears. He's on Top Boy. He's on Dead Butterflies. Kano's in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Right, we've got to get the red carpet out for this one. So red carpet out for this one. We have a Grammy-winning artist, director, actor described as one of the most innovative, enigmatic presences in modern music. So it's truly an honor. She features on Chalk Tablet Towers. St. Vincent is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. All right, a Gorillaz OG, a formidable producer. He was the exec producer on Humans, producer on the Now Now, and you may know him also as the voice of Russell. Remy Kabaka's in the building. All right, and last but not least, the masterminds behind the Brit Award, Billboard Video Award, Grammy Award-winning band, the Gorillaz. And listen, I was lucky enough to meet these two last year, and I can tell you this, they're the best-smelling men in music. It's Jamie Hewlett, David Albarn in the building. Yay! Right, so let's get into it. So we're gonna ask some fan questions in a little while. Yeah, we're not in the same building. We're in the same virtual space. But Damon, obviously, this is a big day. It's a very exciting day. But I just got to ask, what was trickier? Was it trickier making an entire record with over 20 artists during a pandemic, or getting your 9-year-old niece to play the trumpet on Strange Times?
Well, she was, you know, she's 9. It's like, why do I want to go into the studio?
Yeah.
Why do I want to go in the studio when I could be like watching cartoons or looking at my iPad? So.
Did you have to?
I did pay her though. I did pay her.
A featured artist fee.
Get to the studio, yeah.
But I also got my nephew, who's her brother, to play drums. He plays drums on Beck's tune. So it just happened that I had 2 musicians sort of during lockdown being, at my disposal. So, but just for the record, I want you to know that I paid them.
Okay, well that makes everything better. No, that's wicked. And Jamie, also for you, like I've followed your work for a long time. You had an exhibition that I went to earlier in the year, but I understand that it was like new territory for you as well, in the sense that this was the first featured artist you'd ever had to animate. So Elton John. How much pressure comes with having to basically animate a music icon like Elton? How do you feel?
Well, oh, blimey, that's a loud noise. He's shrinking again. It wasn't so difficult, actually. I drew a picture, I sent it to him. He said, call me. I called him. He said, He said, "You made me a little round." Did a bit of rubbing out, and I sent it back, and he said, "Perfect." And that was it.
Oh, that's
It was very easy. It was the easiest thing I had to do on this whole campaign.
well. It looks and it sounds amazing. And we've had loads of fans sending in questions. Which what I'm going to do is I'll direct them at different people so we all get a chance to speak. So this is all from fans now. So this one comes from somebody called @GaspPNick. They said, what was it like to make this album during confinement? So I'm going to send this one to Earth Gang and St. Vincent. Obviously, usually you might have been able to travel to come to the studio with Damon, but I'm guessing this all had to be remote. So how did you guys find it?
Well, I done my part of the record during lockdown, and I well, just at the end of lockdown, I went to the studio. Damon weren't there, but it was weird. It was my first outing, the first time I left the house in like about 4 months. It was weird. Normally you walk into the studio to the main room, but it was like you walked and in there and turned right, so it was like straight into the booth. Then there was like all the the devil wipes and that next to the devil wipe, the pop shield, and it was just like. And then Steve was on the other side of the. Obviously, when you're on the mic and through the control room, you can see the engineer. That's normal, but normally before that, you've kind of said hello, had a hug, and all that kind of stuff. But this was like proper. It felt like a lab. You know what I mean? Felt like a lab. But it was weird, but it was so sick because, as I said, it was the first time I stepped out. So I was probably like, I'm grateful for that outing and that opportunity. But it was sick, man. And then it was all on the FaceTime, like with Damon and Remy and that. You guys was in Devon, and you know what I mean? It was just, it was still vibe. You know?
Basically, during quarantine, none of us have to buy trousers.
Did we wear any?
We're just all wearing tops, you know. So I spent a lot of money on pants and trousers during lockdown.
Yeah,
I mean,
not a
you're wearing
single
a kilt
trouser
at
was
the
worn.
moment, aren't you, Jamie?
You what?
You're wearing a kilt.
I'm wearing a kilt at the moment. Why not? I can wear whatever I want.
Oh, show everyone your kilt.
I think that cost extra, doesn't it?
Actually, my kilt's in the wash. I'm not wearing anything, so I won't stand up.
Oh, we don't want that. We don't. No one.
No, we don't want that. Not on YouTube.
Okay, did the fact that you just come out of quarantine go into the lyrics at all? Because I know Earth Gang, you started with something in your first verse. One of you.
Yeah. I've been cooped up for a minute.
Yeah,
that's because lucky enough for us, before everything went crazy, we rented a house which had a studio in it. So we were just able to keep the stay going on. So like that's all we were doing was eating, sleeping, playing board games and recording and going out for groceries. So it was easy.
Yeah, I remember when I spoke to you first, you were playing Monopoly.
Yes, exactly. That's all we were doing. Playing Monopoly.
Wow.
Did you get Mayfair? Did you buy Mayfair?
No. Everybody
I always find Oxford Street. The green ones are the best ones to get.
The green and the yellow ones and the green ones are yellow. And that whole right side corner right there.
Yeah.
Knocking them out every time.
Exactly. Always.
For some Monopoly gems. But
yeah.
Earth Gang, I've got another question. So I was reading that you guys are big into yoga.
Yeah.
Damon, I know that you like a bit of yoga as well. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some correlation between doing yoga and just making bangers. Does anyone else in the chat do yoga like that?
These two have a routine. Buddha and Damon have a routine. They have a routine.
I've tried to get Kano to do yoga, but you know he's not a convert yet. He will be eventually.
That was yoga. I thought that was yoga. Sorry, going wrong.
I feel like doing yoga is like on Dragon Ball Z when they like channeling all the powers and stuff before you go into the studio and then just release it. You know, you're just doing all this. This takes forever. You just like.
But honestly, I think about yoga like you know, to be kind of serious and sincere for a moment. The thing about yoga is that it teaches you how to breathe. You know, teaches you how to breathe. Once you know how to breathe, anything is possible. and any obstacle is not an obstacle anymore because you can breathe through it, whether it's pain or, you know what I mean? It's like, it's such a big thing that, and that's what yoga. They should teach yoga to all kids. All kids.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Let's just.
That's really
comes out of all of this shit. Let's just get kids learning yoga because they're so supple at that age. They can do all the moves easily, but the breathing is something that will never leave them once they've learned it. You know what?
Back in the olden days, like the 80s, they used to have musical movement at the beginning of every school day. Kids would have musical movement. You can buy vinyl records that talk teachers through self-recognition. What part of you does what? There's one called Listen to the Animals. You have to imitate a bunch of animals every morning. And that's right. The amount of serotonin in it, the ability to work after that is incredible.
Just pump you up. I always feel pumped up.
Is that you keeps calling me at 4 a.m. and breathing then, Damon?
That's a bit different from yoga.
I said, talk like animals. Yeah, I got that bit down. Is that you, Damon?
All right, guys. So just so we can keep it moving.
That's a late night yoga teacher.
Not to do little, not to do even less.
Yoga.
Okay, so let me jump in. Let me jump in and ask another fan question, just so we make sure that people get their questions answered. So this one's for Lee. It's from Sensei Jussa, who sounds also as though they've been practicing a bit of yoga. I got a question for Lee, John, and Damon. What was the inspiration for The Lost Chord? The lyrics are interesting and the song is just beautiful. So Lee, do you want to take that one?
Wow, it was a great experience. I must say, first of all, I feel that Damon and Jamie, the whole crew actually, they're like musical geniuses in the artistic concept of this whole creative energy. And as soon as I came in the studio, it was just the vibe was just bam, we were like, explosive. And I felt as if we knew each other for such a long time. And it was like a combination of real great spiritual energy. And when we started writing and it was like painting a painting, like an artistic musical painting and a journey. And you're seeing this visual sense of lyrical coming out there, and there was so many. When I even listen to The Lost Chord now, I'm finding so many different concepts coming up, and which is great. Which means as an artist you can stretch yourself. And I felt that working with the guys, it was great. We didn't have any limits. We no boundaries. We just exploded, but we did know there were certain sounds and stuff like that. They wanted to hear they want to hear that voice.
Yes, they really
as opposed to
singing that voice, and I was dancing with you. I thought I was like on stage in Top of the Pops in like 1982 doing body.
I know you just want to hear Illusion. Body sort of was the one. I think that's the vibe as well.
And then
But for me, Lee, you maybe not in America they get you, but in Europe you're still a superstar.
It's the thing, man.
And what you did back in those early 80s, in the early 80s, you were really quite a controversial figure, really. You know what I mean? You were doing something very unusual at that time,
Just groundbreaking, man.
I was like a white boy in Essex watching you on Top of the Pops, but I felt it.
At least someone did.
Lee, we actually got a lot of questions for Lee. We got a lot of questions for Lee, so I think definitely the song struck a chord. But look, obviously you all had different experience working on the record. Now, usually in interviews they say stuff like, "Oh, describe the record in 3 words," etc. We've got a question in here from Greg Heff, who says, "If Song Machine were a candle, what would it smell like?"
Gwyneth Paltrow's.
Oh no!
What?
For anyone who doesn't know, Gwyneth Paltrow has a candle scented after a very intimate region.
Really?
They're on.
They're on. Gwyneth Paltrow. I want to smell that.
But who wants to take that? What would Song Machine smell like? Go on, Remy, you take this one. What scented candle would?
I told you, second one, halfway through.
You talking about the whole project or a particular song? Sorry.
I think they want to know what the album in its entirety, what smell it gives off.
Smells like, what it smells like.
Oh,
As a
Like
candle.
a big one.
I'm gonna say oud.
It doesn't smell like what it
Like-
smells like, that's for sure.
What's the famous saying, Damon?
What?
It might be small, but it smells like a big one.
Oh, yeah, well, that's classic.
Very good. I'll put that in my Tinder bio after this. All right, well, look,
I have to change your Facebook profile.
it's my LinkedIn header.
Change that profile. No, I mean.
Okay.
It's,
Oh yeah, go on.
strange concept because I suppose what does it's a composite of things, right? My favorite meal is usually a connection of different things and usually quite opposite flavors. So you know what I mean? It's usually sort of roast dinner, some sort of casserole or breakfast, and they are bringing together a flavor. So it's not. I'm not really trying to duck the question, but it's so subtle. It's some sort of sensory overload that is the combination of all my favorite ingredients.
Okay, that makes sense. That's a good answer.
I mean, it's
All right. Well, look,
exactly.
I feel like, yeah. Well, let's see. Let's sort of throw it over to the US. So, St. Vincent, Annie, Earth Gang. Obviously, you were working remotely from a whole different country. A lot of people have been having conversations, like creatives, about whether lockdown made them more or less creative, because all of a sudden it's like you have time, but then we're in the middle of a pandemic. When
Hang
you
on,
were sort of
Scott,
working.
my house is shifting. I can feel it shifting.
It's coming on.
Okay.
Even though I'm staying in the same place.
Okay. Well, we'll let Damon shift. The question I was going to ask to Earth Gang and Annie is, yeah, how did you find the process? Did you find you were less creative or your usual selves on the record?
I think you get I think the pandemic kind of afforded us a chance to tap into another side of ourselves. I think we all like, I don't know. I know for us in particular, being Earth Gang, we've been making a lot of music and touring and making music and touring and just being on the road, making more music on the road. Like this is, I wholeheartedly like welcome the blessing to be able to like, whoa, let me just sit down and think about this. Like, you know how many times I was able to listen to like the record before, like the instrumental that you guys sent beforehand. Like I don't get to do that. You know what I'm saying? That was like a blessing by itself. Just be able to just like sit with that and like be at the house. Like that was amazing. Like, it was awesome, man.
Yeah.
And St. Vincent, how was it for you? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think it's about the same. It's like kind of because you don't have like the kind of chaos that a normal day might bring. You don't have the like, oh, I'm walking to the coffee shop and I saw this, and this, and all those things are going to factor into, you know, what I write about today. I kind of had to dig a little deeper and like look for alternate sources to kind of. But that was good. I think that only makes you stronger as an artist. And I mean, a lot of getting to work with Damon and Remy was just like us having a drink and shooting the shit over Zoom. And it was
Well, we had such a nice like conversation one night, didn't we?
Yeah.
We had a really, really nice conversation via Zoom.
And that was
It was
perfect.
lovely, you know what I mean? We really got to know each other that night.
Yeah, and I don't know if that would have happened, you know, if we'd been in the same space.
You're so right.
Like, okay, let's crank it out or whatever.
You're absolutely right. Life would have interrupted that. Like just general life would interrupt that. I think musicians, I mean, certainly me, I quite liked life being put on pause.
Yeah.
I like the idea I could just go and hang out at Damon's, and it wasn't like I was stealing time. There was nothing going on anyway. So that was like a secret, not that much of a secret joy really. It was like a joy.
Well, we ended up getting a lot done in 5 months of quarantine. So, you know, obviously it wasn't.
I think it's really important if you're working with people that you kind of establish a connection and you like them, you know?
Yeah.
So what's the point in anything if you don't like people you're working with?
Yeah, no, we definitely agree here.
But Damon, a question for you then. So obviously we've got over 20 featured artists on this record, and in some of the early videos, like we got to see
Is that all?
you. Well, there's tons, but in some of the early videos, we got to see you with, Slow Tie in the studio, vibing out. With some of the later records, you probably didn't get the chance to meet in person. Do you think that, how do you think that affects a record, not actually being able to have that face-to-face contact? Or does it affect the record?
You know what? I don't think it affected the record at all, to be honest with you. I think
the record was about that process.
Yeah, kind of seems to be.
Yeah.
Seems to be. When we started in January, it was like we had one tune with Slow Time Slaves, and we were like, we don't know how this is going to play out, but we're just going to do it anyway, and see how it turns out. And that was probably a really good kind of policy for this year. The plans you had, definitely the plans you had in January, were not how the world played out. So it's a parable for as my mum taught me and terrified me as a child. She used to say, "You never know what's around the corner." So she was absolutely right. You know what I mean? It's like you literally never know.
I know what's around the corner. A lot more Zoom calls.
Sorry, the world's
All right. So speaking about Zoom and speaking about lockdown, obviously you spent a lot of time indoors. Some people have been playing a lot more video games. This is a video game related question. It says, do any of you actually play like playing Pac-Man, which is one of the tunes on the album?
Yeah.
And or what other games have you been playing during lockdown? Because we're streaming on YouTube, and it's a huge game.
Well, when I was younger, I lived in a little village in Essex for like 8 years, and I had a pub next door to my house, and I was friends with the son of the landlord, and so I got the chance to play Pac-Man early on. I got to play Pac-Man and I loved it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think you had? What was your high score like?
I've never been really a high achiever when it comes to computer games.
To Pac-Man.
I've been resolutely average.
Okay, this is a question for.
What's the one we used to play when we lived together?
Vigilante 8.
Vigilante 8.
That's my favourite game. That reminds me of you.
Well, look, on the theme of this friendship, that was a really great question we had come through, which said, Damon and Jamie, have you ever considered swapping places for once, where Damon tries his hand at drawing an animation and Jamie?
I'd definitely be better at it than he would be in music. No question about it. No question about that. That's
Jamie, what do you have to say to that?
Bring it on.
I love it. It's like Iron Man arts. I
think it would be a huge failure and nobody would like it.
On your behalf, you trying to sing it too.
It's like the producers. If ever you need to lose money.
Yeah.
I played recorder when I was at school, and I got asked to leave the lesson because I was so bad at recorder.
Because even an instrument with established tonality, you managed to play out a tune.
Yeah.
But you can't leave the recorder alone.
You can only be good at one thing, right? So I stick with the pen. So I'm not musical. So, but Damon's quite good at drawing, so maybe.
No, I'm not good at drawing, but I love drawing. It's the difference.
Well, here's so maybe you wouldn't have swapped roles, but generally that when you're recording, even though you've not been in person, there can still be sort of room for funny moments or things you remember about the process. So Damon Naughty Boy, which I cannot either confirm or deny, he's asking Question
boy.
here. Anecdotes from any of you that happened during the of the album.
Yeah, but none of them are clean though.
That, you know,
I mean, we've already talked about.
Anecdotes. Well, I mean, cool. That's quite difficult,
Or
really,
a
to
favourite
conjure up.
moment.
Remy, you got some.
Remy.
You've got to understand. You've got to
Definitely.
understand.
Remy and I
understand.
had loads of conversations, I tell you.
we had mad conversations, but what I loved is that every time Lee hit the high note, a train would go past in the back. Is that a British Rail situation?
Well, there was a moment when
Oh yeah, there was a train. There was. Yeah.
recording his vocals where I jumped up and I started dancing with him, and I kind of felt like I was like going back to Top of the Pops. I always go back to Top of the Pops. I think
It was magic.
Top of
though.
the Pops and the Bionic
influence
Woman.
on my life.
It was magic though.
You were both dancing every time I was singing. I was trying to get the, getting.
That's what you make
Well,
it-
that's kind of, and
that's your
next
power.
minute they're like, I go around the microphone.
I've been waiting for this since I was 12. I'm not going to lose that. No, I was ready.
Yeah, every time Lee hit a high note, I was just going to have a drink of my wine and pass, please.
Oh,
Those metal tumblers, really, for the high notes. No,
Annie, how about
Annie,
how about yourself? Because you. Oh, sorry, Remy. You go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's a manifestation of a dream because you can't. What do you want to do? Really, the perfect anecdote. You look at your 12-year-old self and you go, "You see." So you remember those moments but they're sort of totemic to you. So they're not really anecdotes, but they are striking moments because sometimes that's what you wander into. You do see your other. The 12-year-old was there. It's just hard to describe.
That makes
because
sense.
like, you know, I mean, it's hard to kind of anecdotes about recording music, difficult. But what you feel if it goes well, well,
is
such a beautiful feeling, you know. It's
that's
a
why it's
beautiful
music,
feeling.
because it does that thing words doesn't do. It is that feeling. It's hard. I mean, it's like.
And like I've worked with Kane so many times, and you know, both of us we're like, you know, we do our own thing, but it's really nice when we do something together that we're both proud of. You know what I mean? But we don't expect that that's going to happen every time. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. And a
precious
lot of
thing. You don't lose that sense of how precious when something really clicks. How precious that is.
Yeah.
I don't think.
yeah.
Right.
We had a lot of questions about how you choose the people who will feature on songs and how, you know, chemistry tests, and people were very curious about whether you are watching people from afar all of the time or whether it's just something that happens naturally. But in the instance of kind of, you know, working with Annie, St. Vincent, you know, you spoke about having a really great conversation over Zoom one time. How did you two get together and say, well, we're going to make a song together?
And I want to jump in there quickly before you answer
Can I just give you a Nostradamus moment?
Get him.
My head's going to do this. It's gonna go.
Oh my god.
Then my wife is going to go.
When you see that,
Wow, this
Then
is
my
special.
daughter's going to go. This person, I have no idea who it is. It's going to rule the world.
Is that Kinder Egg? Kinder Egg from Harry?
That's not a Kinder Egg, it's a Russian doll.
I was going to say, Jamie and Damon, do you have a list at the beginning of people, or do you make music first and then this one will fit that, this one will fit that?
No. It's we make it up as we go along, always.
The song sort of
But you know, Kano, you're always on the list, mate. Usually at the
But
top.
you are.
I don't know
What
what
you are. It's
I
just
know.
very rarely do you return my calls.
Oh, you're a scoop now, man. You're getting the scoop now.
Well, no, this is what I want to know.
He's
Who's
down.
worst
I can draw quite well, so I'm after Jamie's. Really.
No,
I could certainly do with some help, Kano, if you want to come round and do some drawing.
he was at home, he's in.
Hey, have any of you noticed? Have you noticed how your ears are getting more like this? Because My ears are definitely getting more like this.
Jamie, we've just had a question for you here. It says,
will you please shut up, Jamie?
that's the follow-up. It says, what is your creative process for coming up with music videos, and how do you manage to relate the music to the visuals?
Oh, well, that's easy. I mean, visuals and music are kind of a marriage made in heaven, really. So he sends me great music. You can't really go wrong. I mean, I get the demos. I get songs in every stage as they grow, but from the very first moment he gives me like the demo version of something, I know what to do with it. It's very easy when the music's good.
I asked him last month when I was in Paris, because that's where Jamie lives. I said, how long do you need when you finish this season before you start the next season? And he very stupidly said 1 month. So he finishes in November, so I reckon we start season 2 in January.
I finish in December. I'm going to have a couple of weeks off, and then we're going to start.
Couple of weeks now. I thought you had a month.
Oh, if we're going to start in January, I think it's a couple of weeks.
No, you said January, so I'm just like going by. All I've got is what you tell me.
What else am I going to do, eh?
Well, he's been doing yoga, so he's super charged now.
Does it always begin with pen and paper, or is it computerized now from the beginning?
Oh, it's all computer with Gorillaz. I don't have time to do pen and paper.
Well, it looks great. Okay, guys, we've got to wrap. But before we do, I'm going to do a very.
I'm just getting going now. I was just getting into this.
I know. But look, before we do,
I'm going to do a quick
fire. I'm going to do a
well,
quick
can
fire
I just say
question.
thank you to everyone who came here tonight and for not
Can I say it's nice to see Wolfgang and St. Vincent in the flesh finally.
Yes.
Thank you for your amazing contribution.
I've got one more question for all of you. Right? It's a very quick answer, so only a sentence to answer. What's the first thing you're going to do when lockdown ends? What's the simple luxury you've not been able to do that you cannot wait to get into?
Hug my grandma. I'm gonna hug my grandmother.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I need to hug my nan as well.
See my family.
Well, I was gonna fly somewhere, but of course I'm gonna hug my grandma now. That's what we're all gonna do, right?
No, but I'm gonna hug my grandma in the air. So.
Yeah, you better hug your grandma.
We're gonna hug my grandma on the way to Heathrow.
Yeah, on the way. That's what I'm saying. What
I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sneeze in public.
Burn the mask.
Annie, what about yourself? What's the first thing you're looking forward to doing after lockdown ends and grill?
God, I want to say get a pedicure.
Oh yeah,
That's
a good one.
That's a great answer.
Because them toes nails are getting quite long, right?
Oh,
Like the Gruffalo.
Officer Hop over here. It's the Nigerian.
Remy, what are you doing?
Me?
Yeah.
You know, in Edinburgh on New Year's Eve, you used to be able to go down the Royal Mile and snog random people.
Fucking hell. Can't do that anymore.
Remy, don't start a pandemic, Remy.
I'm putting my lips in the gym. Watch out. Look at my lips in the gym.
Can I just,
And finally,
Does anybody want to perform? Does anybody want to do shows?
That's it. That's the main.
I do.
Yeah, that's it.
I want to perform, yo. I miss performing on stage.
Going out there and doing a
I
live
just
show.
want to do shows. That's
Going
it.
out there
Live
and
show,
meet
live
people
show.
again. And
I just
doing a
want to do.
live
That's
show.
it. I
Yeah.
miss it so much.
Yeah.
I miss it.
Live show with no
Yeah.
social distance crowd, like proper.
Yeah, mosh pit.
Right
Mosh
outside.
pits and crowd
You
surfing.
know what? I think Damon's right though. I think whatever they gave Donald Trump for that 3-day resurrection.
Yeah, I want some of that.
Turn orange.
Lying.
all right. Well, look.
I want that available on the National
Come
Health.
on now. Let's
in
get it.
January.
I want
Yeah,
that.
the Lucas
Before
said he was
Before we
lying.
go into a Trump rabbit hole,
Yeah.
right? Pedicures, performances, and hugging your nan. It's a perfect way to end this song machine with friends. So the new album's out now. Song Machine Season 1, Strange Times. Go cop that, stream that, retweet it,
Thank you
like
very
it.
much, all of
Guys,
you.
you've been
Thank you everyone
legends.
who watched
Go and
this.
celebrate
Thank
in
you so much.
style.
Thank
And
you.
thank you all for tuning in across the world. The music's out, more still to come. We've got some surprises in store. So yeah, stay safe, stay blessed.
Respect.
Peace.
Peace.
Look up.
Love y'all.
Namaste.
Bless.
See you, everyone.
Love.